let's make some green mulch. Not everything on the homestead is very exciting, like making green mulch. What I mean by that is taking the grass and the weeds and all those things around the things that I want and cutting them down and just letting them hit the ground. It's called chop and drop, letting them hit the ground. That way it'll let the trees and the shrubs and the plants and things that I'm chopping around, it'll help them grow just a bit more, add some nutrients to the soil. And I'm going to use my weed eater. We just got a new weed eater. This is the Stihl FS 91R. I think we had the Stihl 56 before. I've used this a little bit. We've only had it a few weeks. I've used it a little bit. And actually, if you ask me, I don't like the way it sounds or feels as much as the 56. Somebody commented on the one for the 56 and said they thought it wasn't that great, but I actually like it better. I do have the blade on there. Whenever I'm using the blade, I've got to be a whole lot more careful not to hit the trees and things around there. It doesn't seem like it has as much power. Let's walk up to the hedgerow property line food forest and see if we can do some damage up there. And whenever I say do some damage, I don't actually want to do damage. I want to not do damage to my plants. I have actually hit my plants several times, and I don't want to hit my plants, but it has grown up big time up here. I need to trim it back just a little bit. It's starting to crowd out some of my other plants. But we're gonna get up here and knock a few of these things down. I would use the lawnmower, but I can't. It's kind of bumpy up here, so I can't really use the lawnmower up here. Behind me, you might be able to see the black locust, and there's a rose of Sharon as well. And here is the electric pole. This one works very similar to the way the other one does. It's got a knob right here, and you put it on full choke. I ran it just a few minutes ago, so it might be choked enough. I might just go ahead and put it on half choke. It's got a bulb right here that you push it in to kind of give it a little bit of fuel. And I've got the camera right in the middle of the road, so I'm gonna be watching for Nana and Papa. They're off the farm right now. I'm gonna be watching for them, make sure they don't run over the camera. Hopefully they don't just barrel in here if they come back while I'm doing this. It started right up, that's pretty nice. But I've got a lot to do up here, so let's get to work. So as I said, the thing about using the weed eater with the blade on there is that you can hit some of your trees. So I stopped a little bit. I've got to stop and be very careful. Up at the property line, the closest thing to the property line is our arbor vitae. They're the Thuja green giant arbor vitae. For privacy, they're supposed to be fast growing. They've kind of started, a few of them have started to take off a little bit this year. Maybe you got a foot or two of growth this year, but they've been kind of slow so far. What's really a whole lot better as far as growing up here is the black locust. And besides a bunch of the black locust, I put a lot of these thornless blackberries, just cuttings up there, and some of them done very well. So I've got to be very careful around those. Between the arbor vitae, I planted some forsythia. Our neighbor up here has a big forsythia bush, and I asked her if I could take some cuttings off of it. She said sure. So I took some cuttings off of it. I think some of them have done okay, but here's the problem. I didn't mark them very well. So I might do it again this winter, ask her again if I can take some cuttings off of them or get them from somewhere else. A lot of people have forsythia in our area, and they're really great as far as early blooms in the spring. I'll tell you more about those next time I do that this spring. If I do that, it's just like the thornless blackberries, just stick them right in the ground. You'll have more of them root. You'll have more of a success rate if you put a little bit of rooting hormone on there, but even if you don't put any rooting hormone on there, just stick them in the ground, you might get about 50%, which is pretty good for just taking a stick and putting it in the ground. But I don't know how big of a difference you can tell up here. I'll bring you up there in just a second and do this a little bit more. But it made really pretty short work of it. It looks like I did all of this in about 3 or 4 minutes. And one of the really great things about this is, again, it takes all of those weeds that's there and it just puts them on the ground and it mulches, kind of prevents other weeds in the future. And then it adds a little bit of nutrient in the soil for the plants that I want to keep. So let's come up here and do a little bit more. pretty humid today. So this is my neighbors up here. They keep it really mowed, really nice yard, very nice yard, versus mine back here. Mine's jungly, but that is by design. This is really good, you know, for the soil. It's building up things, really good for erosion control. A lot of times grass don't add a whole lot to the soil, especially when you keep it cut really short like this. But all this other stuff, it's really great. What is this behind me with these flowers? Do you see it? It's really great for pollinators. There's more of it back here. Do you know what this is? There's some bees on it right now. I've also got to work around some Jerusalem artichokes that are back here, but I'm letting the wild in. I'm doing this by design on purpose. I feel like it's really adding to the soil. It's really adding to what we're doing back here. Put a whole lot of mulch wood chips back here, and the wood chips have a whole lot of brown in it and it needs some green. So this is adding that green to it. It's really great for it. It's really adding a lot of topsoil over here. Got to clean it up here because I've got some red buds and some other things up here that will really thrive if it has a little bit more space, a little less competition. And it's adding all this great stuff to the soil. Do you see the soil, how brown and nice it is? Do you see these little white stringy things? It's got fungi in there. And all of this that I'm doing here is gonna rot down and add to the soil. Leaves, when you have in the fall, when they fall off the tree, that's a tree mulching itself. I'm mulching around these things, especially while they're young like this, and I can help them just a little bit. I'm gonna work a little bit more up here, then I might have a little bit more to say to you. That was hot. Ugh. Went in the house for a few minutes after I got finished with that and cooled down a little bit. I want to head over here to the high tunnel and take a look at some things just to see how things are going. The guy for the high tunnel dropped by today. He told me there was a few things I needed to do with the gutters. I got a 4-inch gutter on here instead of a 5-inch, and I needed 5-inch for this size of a high tunnel. Whereas they knew what they were doing with the high tunnel, they didn't know quite as much what they were doing with the gutters, but there's a fix. Initially, what we were going to do was put all of our water catchment on one end. If I want to use these 4-inch gutters, what I'll have to do is to put downspouts on both ends and water catchment on both ends, and then I'll have to have a pipe connecting them, which will take a bit of pipe. But he said 3/4-inch pipe should do just fine. We've got to start working on that. It's really no hurry about it. I don't know for sure if we'll get that done before winter time or not. It looks like our corn, the tallest ones are about 8 inches. Right here, can you see that? This looks like one of the shorter ones, and it's only about maybe 4 inches, but it looks like it's doing quite well. I was just reading about the 3 Sisters method, that usually you don't use sugar snap peas because they're cold weather crop. But I was thinking about trying to use those anyway. We'll see what happens because it is moving into the fall. It will be warmer here in the high tunnel, so it might be just fine. The information I got said to plant the peas whenever the corn is about 6 inches to a foot tall, so that's now. So we're thinking about planting some more corn, and when we plant that corn, I'll probably go ahead and plant some peas, and then about a week after that, you can plant some squash. And if you want to plant a 4th sister, you can plant some sunflowers or something like that. So we're just experimenting right now. And Papa are up here now. Peppers are still looking quite yellow.
Merry Christmas. Bought you something.
Oh, scrunch. I lost my scrunch the other day. I couldn't find my scrunch. I don't know how long ago I lost it. You could just keep this one. Let me keep the one that you have.
I'd rather have mine.
Okay.
Let you have the new one.
All right. It's in the
Mine's
shed.
broke in.
So you got me a scrunch. I said I need a new one. They got me one. If you like things like this, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, select all, so you never miss a notification. Thanks.